This question is in line with the new specification for biology for GCSE with first examination in 2018. Question 1 asks us, it says measles is caused by a viral pathogen. What is a pathogen? Well, we need to say that it's a microorganism, and it's a microorganism that causes disease. Because don't forget, not all microorganisms do cause disease, but a pathogen is one that does. You clearly won't get any marks for giving any examples by saying, for example, bacteria or fungi, because it's given you an example in the introduction. Also, it wouldn't be enough to just say it's something that causes disease, because not all diseases are caused by microorganisms or pathogens. Some of them are genetic causes, for example, or lifestyle causes. Then we have some information to read before our next question. It says most children are vaccinated to prevent measles. Figure 8 shows the concentration of antibodies produced by the body in response to a vaccination or after 40 days an infection with measles pathogens. The question then asks, describe the pattern of antibody production shown in figure 8 during the primary response. It tells you include data. So if it tells you to include data, you need to include some data, put some figures in there. Also, it only asks about the primary response, so there's no point banging on about the secondary response. Let's look at the graph of the primary response once again. So all we're being asked to do is to describe a shape. We can see it goes up, it goes down. And because we've been asked to include data, include figures in our answer, we're going to say what it started from, what it rose to, and what it sunk back down to. So we're going to say that the antibody concentration increases and decreases. That's 1 mark. And then we can have 2 more marks from the following 3 statements, saying it rises from 0 to 2 in 24 days, it decreases from 2 to 1 in 16 days, or more simply, we can just say that the rate of decrease is slower than the rate of increase. So far, we've just been asked to describe. In the next question, we're asked to explain. Explain what happens to the body to produce this primary response to the vaccination. In other words, we're talking about this example. We're talking about measles and we're talking about a vaccination against measles. In other words, we're not speaking generally, we're speaking specifically about this example. So we're going to say that a dead or inactive form of the measles pathogen or its antigens are injected into the body, that white blood cells are stimulated, and that they produce specific antibodies to the measles pathogen. Now, just reading the mark scheme, it doesn't really give away that you wouldn't have got the mark if you hadn't said the word specific. But when you read the examiner's report, it tells you that many students didn't get the 3rd mark because they didn't talk about specific antibodies to the measles pathogen. Moving on to the next part of the question, if the measles virus enters a vaccinated person, the secondary response begins. How is the secondary response different from the primary response? Use information in figure 8. So we've come across this question since we were in year 8, and we know to say that the response is faster. We can't just say that the response is fast because we're asked for a comparison. So faster is a comparative word. We also need to say that it produces a higher concentration of antibodies. We can't just say that it produces more antibodies because that might have been over a longer period of time. We've got a higher peak. In other words, we've got a higher concentration of antibodies at that time, so that's what we need to say. Figure 9 shows the number of cases of measles in England and Wales from 2000 to 2012. C part 1 asks, calculate the overall increase in the number of measles cases from 2000 to 2012. And reading off that graph, if we take away 100, which was what it was at 2000, from 2000, which is what it was at 2012, we can see that the overall increase was 1,900 cases of measles. And the last part of the question says, suggest why the overall increase from 2000 to 2012 may have happened. So when you get a command word like suggest, then you're not expected to know the answer. You're expected to come up with a reason why it might have happened. So all you needed to say was that fewer people are being vaccinated, so therefore more people are susceptible to the disease. Notice the connecting word, so that is where you're going to get your second mark. Hope the video has been of use to you. Don't forget to leave me a comment and don't forget to subscribe.